think about the Intercontinental title not being put on the line at WrestleMania? WWE keep undermining this belt. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know how long you've been in watching us here. We just spoke about that about 10 minutes ago, saying it's funny how the Intercontinental title and the US title won't be up for grabs in any form at Mania, and it's kind of sad to put the unified tag belts, which with the tag team division that's so absolutely rubbish in WWE at the moment, and Drew in the Money in the Bank, which is a good thing, but again, what do you do? I think a good Intercontinental title match would have been a good idea, and having him in Money in the Bank is a good idea, so I suppose you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't when it comes to that one.
Absolutely. Evan Bourne qualifying for the Money in the Bank match. And then we had Christian in the mix with Heath Slater. Christian the pro on NXT to Heath Slater's rookie. And Heath Slater standing by the commentary table. He looked like a lost sheep.
Heath Slater cracks me up. I find him quite entertaining, but ring work, I don't know. I don't know if he's got it, but certainly his promos are quite funny. I just find him hard to take any bit serious, but entertaining, definitely.
Now, Steve Austin is hosting WWE RAW next week, I believe, and that's one that kind of confused me, because didn't he say last WrestleMania that he was finished with WWE and that we would never see him under that gimmick again? In roundabout ways he said this, and that basically he was done. We weren't going to see him, and now here we are a year later. It looks like Steve Austin, still on that company payroll, is looking forward to that WrestleMania payoff.
Yeah, there's some rumours floating about that he's going to referee the Bret Hart.
This is what I believe now. We know what rumours are.
Yeah. It would be a great move, I think, for them to have Stone Cold in there, with a past rivalry with McMahon, and it would be nice to see Hart get one over, and maybe a nice little stunner from Stone Cold, God knows he deserves it after getting some serious Vinnie Mac abuse there on Raw last week, or the week before last week, should I say. Definitely a shoot on McMahon's behalf, but about 80% truth coming from McMahon, I think. But Stone Cold, it'll be interesting to see Raw. The fans will go nuts, and I'm sure there'll be a few stunners thrown out. Always fun to see him about, and you can definitely feel the vibes when that music kicks in every time. So it would be a shame not to see him at Mania, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, it was something that, it was a head scratcher last year. You wondered why he was going away. Perhaps he had enough, but certainly glad to see the Rattlesnake back on TV, and hopefully that there's something else in the works here, maybe leading up to WrestleMania. Perhaps he's signed some deal that we have yet to hear about. Maybe some kind of feature at the WrestleMania card this year. Speaking of the WrestleMania card, on paper, or at least when they put up the graphics showing the card and the various matches, it's starting to look quite strong to me. I'm looking forward to it. Perhaps it's because we've had so many bad ones over the last few years.
Yeah, I read a good article today about this, actually, and it mentioned that the creative team had struggled last year, and with the last minute changes Vince constantly made, and basically made their life hell for the couple of weeks up to last year's WrestleMania 25. And this year they say that it's all been written for quite some time, and the only small changes, or the only change really that they've had to put up with, was no title on the line between Sheamus and Triple H, which isn't a big deal, because the rest of the card I think looks pretty strong too, and solid matches, bar this unified tag team match. Everything else in the card I think is pretty good.
So just some of the highlights that we noted from Raw and TNA Impact, as they both ran simultaneously last Monday. You had Raw on USA and Sky Sports 3, and Spike on with TNA Impact, and of course I watched it here on justin.tv. Another big highlight was Beer Money with a bit of a heel turn. They beat down Jarrett, and after that we heard that there were going to be some WrestleMania rematches next week on Raw. Some matches from the past getting another go on television. Certainly WWE stepping it up a bit as we roll on the road to WrestleMania. And as we said, of course, Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be back on WWE RAW next week. So that's pretty much what we thought about WWE RAW and TNA Impact, and of course the sort of final verdict on it, if you like, and we've been flagged of that in the chat room, is of course that in a sense there wasn't a war, because the rating for TNA Impact at least was perhaps a little bit lower than the Monday night previous that they went live. WWE RAW drew a 3.4 cable rating. That's down from last week's strong 3.7. Perhaps a little bit affected by TNA being on at the same time. TNA Impact drew a 1.0 cable rating. That's down from Thursday's 1.1 rating. Those were the early figures there. It's always interesting to see if TNA retain their audience, as they pretty much did, going up against Raw.
Yeah, I think as well, it would be interesting to see the UK ratings, because Impact is completely trouncing Raw over here on the weekly ratings in the UK. But again, with the Monday live war thing that's going on, especially over here, as we said earlier, we can't watch that, so a lot of people are going to watch it on the internet, which means if you're streaming it live, obviously you're not going to be watching it on cable TV or on anything like that, and therefore all those people and all those ratings will take a huge dive. But it's going to take a while for Impact to start going from that 1.0, 1.1, 1.3 up to 2.5s. It could take a year, it could take 2 years to get up to that kind of level, and it's not going to happen overnight. And I think with some solid booking and some clever moves out of Impact, they can do it.
Yeah, Jim Ross was weighing in on this subject on his barbecue sauce blog, and speaking of the subject Raw versus Impact, JR had this to say. He said, "I'm not going to analyse the Monday Night Wrestling sagas of last night for many reasons. One, I'm not unbiased, and two, there's plenty of analysing going on from wrestling websites that do that sort of thing." He also said it can be said, however, that those fans who are yearning for longer matches and more matches in general on TV are likely still yearning. And finally, some people apparently forgetting that TNA, and perhaps he means Raw in this as well, are producing episodic television. Well, that's not quite what we tune in for. I mean, we don't tune in to see Abyss doing crazy stuff with Hall of Fame rings, and, we like the storylines, but at the end of the day, if the wrestling isn't good, if it isn't sort of entertaining, interesting, and well done, we're just not going to keep watching. We don't need to see all that comedic stuff.
Yeah, it's true, and at least in defense of TNA, the ratings are not up to Raw's standard, but at the same time, I would watch an X Division match with your Kazarians or Christopher Daniels, or even your Knockouts over any match that has Kane in it, or the Big Show, or these people that have just been on TV forever and ever. Mark Henry, you're another example. I don't want to see Mark Henry. I don't want to see Kane. I don't want to see the Big Show. I don't know why they're still with WWE. I think their time is well up, all three of them. And it just puzzles me that you can watch SmackDown. You might have, some good Money in the Bank qualifier match. You might have some good promos. And then out of nowhere, you have Kane doing his thing, and I mean, it's stale. It's just stale stuff. How many years has he been on screen? And even since The Mask came on,